Bioretec released Q3 report today, and we have today with us Alan Donze, CEO of Bioretec. Welcome, Alan.
Welcome. Thank you, Antti. I appreciate the time you were able to give me today.
Alan, would you start by just summarizing the Q3 for you? What were the main events?
I think in Q3, we basically completed phase one of our U.S. commercialization plan focused launch for Remyos, and we are now going to begin into the second phase, a wider commercialization plan for Remyos. So that's very exciting. I think that from a numbers standpoint, we did announce the new numbers, and we had a 15.7% growth over the same period for last year. So good growth based on the Activa product line. We had a slightly lower sales margin, and part of that had to do with our increased cost in developing our own direct sales force in Germany, as well as we had to offset some of the Chinese volume-based procedure policies that are going through the country of China, which constrains the selling price of the product in China. However, we are seeing much better growth, and so we announced positive growth for Bioretec for the period. Good quarter, but obviously third quarters are a little bit lower than other quarters based on seasonally most Europeans are on vacation and not doing surgery during that third quarter. So good quarter, but more importantly, it's the beginning of a new world for Bioretec with the second phase of our commercialization of Remyos in the U.S. and some of the other things that we're doing to develop our revenue targets for next year.
You mentioned growth in Asia and also some pricing pressure continuing in China. So could you talk a little bit more about the Chinese market? What's going on there?
Yeah, the entire Chinese market is under these new, as you know, the Chinese economy in general is not doing very well at all. And the Chinese government has responded in a number of ways by trying to reduce pricing on externally produced medical devices as well as all products into China. So these volume-based pricing measures are affecting not only medical companies, but all companies that are dealing with China as their economy continues to flounder a bit. And so in the medical market, there have been very specific things that constrain the pricing and constrain our ability to sell at a higher price. Despite that, we've had some higher demand for the product in Asia especially, and that has offset, from a revenue standpoint at least, a little bit, the pricing pressure.
And I guess that the situation with pricing is something that will continue in the coming months and quarters.
As we focus on the markets that we make the most money on, as we develop Europe and we develop the U.S., this will be less and less of a consideration. But of course, the Chinese market is a tremendously large market, and their pricing pressures will continue to affect all companies. And we will, look at that very carefully as we set our internal budgets and make sure that our targets are in line with what we want them to be. Yep.
You already mentioned that Q3 is a little bit seasonally slower because of holiday seasons. So what's the outlook for the rest of the year?
Well, I think, despite the fact that that is a seasonal time, we had good growth, obviously huge growth for that Q3. For the fourth quarter, we expect to continue, but we still do not have the CE mark for Remyos at this moment, and we're waiting for additional FDA 510K approvals on products, as we mentioned in our press release. So those two factors are tremendous factors in the short term in our revenue goals, but long term, we're more than excited about where we're going with the products in 2025 and beyond.
So this year was about the controlled launch of the trauma screw, and now you're moving on to a broader commercialization. So can you talk a little bit about your plans for next year and for Remyos screw?
Yeah, of course. And you mentioned the first phase of the launch, and I just want to stress that this phase of the launch was about building the platform for growth of Remyos in the U.S. What we were doing in that phase one was creating an awareness of the product, doing very specific procedures with very specific surgeons that would use the product in a way that would prove the efficacy without endangering our reputation by putting it in places where they should not. So we're very careful about where we put the product over the first phase of this launch. In addition, we took the time to develop all of the necessary paperwork, timeframes, studies, etc., to get information to the U.S. government for the VA and the DoD pricing, which again sets the table for growth in the U.S. We were very successful in every phase of that. And most importantly, every single patient that had Bioretec Remyos product implanted in the U.S. healed fantastically. So we're very happy with the controlled phase and with the things that we achieved. Going into the wider commercialization phase, I am signing a 3PL contract and developing a direct sales channel in the U.S. with U.S. distributors for the civilian market now, and expanding that product set along the time frames. Over the next 3 months, we will have new distributors, we will have the 3PL, we will have the 510K approvals, hopefully within that guideline time frame, to be able to launch everything in the U.S. from the trauma orthopedic screw front. So we would expect to now start to realize the revenue gains that we are projecting over the next 3 years to achieve the $65 million by 2028. And that's exactly what we think we'll be able to do.
So a couple of more growth steps for you is indication expansion for the screw and also the launching the drill pin a little bit later. So what are the updates on these?
The drill pin launch is on track. We have started the drill pin study with those new drill pin designs, etc. And as far as the new indications, again, the CE certification helps a lot in that when we have the CE certification in the EU, we expect additional indications than we have in the US. And by being able to do quick studies, we're able to expand the indication of the product in the US from medial malleus into additional indications. So that will broaden the appeal for the product in the US directly, but also we will be able to launch in Europe these products very quickly once we have that in place.
You already mentioned the CE mark and the importance of that for you. You mentioned in the report that it will maybe or at the late stages of that progress, but can you tell us anything more about that?
Yeah, we have finalized every documentation, every response to the certifying body. We've done our part. We're only now waiting for the final letter.
And a major news from you during this quarter was this new spine implant. That's your plans on that.
Also, the 510K is ongoing. I did mention that will increase our, not the indications, but the products available in the U.S., okay?
Yes.
But that's ongoing as well. So, I'm sorry, get back to your question.
Yes. So your kind of major news during the quarter was your plans on the spine implant. So can you recap a little bit about your plans and what will happen next in that area?
Yeah, absolutely. The spine product is such an exciting product because we did get FDA device designation, breakthrough designation from the FDA for that product, and it is truly an incredible product in that most spinal cages right now are made out of titanium. Titanium is a hard metal. It creates its own problems in the MRI occlusion and the strength of the metal, causing adjacent level syndrome, etc. So the FDA looked at this product from the Bioretec magnesium Remyos spinal cage and gave it device designation, breakthrough designation, because of what it can do for this market. So we want to just make sure the markets are aware, the investment markets are aware that this product is truly revolutionary as well. And that over time, we will develop this product, probably potentially with partners, so that we share those costs and share those opportunities, because it's a little bit out of our direct wheelhouse of foot and ankle trauma orthopedics. But we do want to make sure that everybody realizes we have a tremendous opportunity with this company, both in the trauma, foot and ankle areas, with the traditional screws, with the IM nail and those components, but there's also better alternatives for some of the surgeries that are outside of that wheelhouse and spine, and that will bring value to the company as well.
Alan, thank you very much for the interview and good luck for the rest of the year.
Thank you so much for your time, Antti. I wish you the best and have a great holiday season coming up.